Amasquatchie-Waskahikan, otherwise known as Edmonton, is a city deeply rooted in arts and culture. Home to diverse, passionate, emerging voices in music who deserve to be heard and appreciated. I'm Vissia, and this is Dirt City Songbook.
Hi, I'm HAIDEE. I'm a pop artist from Edmonton.
HAIDEE.
Hi.
Thanks for joining me.
Thanks for having me.
I would just like to start off with, what is the story of HAIDEE? And specifically, I guess, towards music, but you can just start from the beginning.
Well, my name is HAIDEE, and actually my real name is HAIDEE. And I was born in the Philippines. I didn't move here until I was 16. And originally we moved from the Philippines to Fort MacMurray. And we were there for 6 months. I know we got there around November, December. We were there for like around 6 months until the Fort MacMurray fire happened. And then we moved here. We literally got out of there by a plane because the fire was heading towards where we were. Because we got evacuated down north because the fire was heading, there's no way we are able to drive to Edmonton. So we stayed there, and then we saw the fire that it was heading out there, but everyone was quiet about it. So we evacuated, and my parents at the time were like, there's really nothing to go back in there for. So we stayed here.
So you're here since you were 16, you said?
Yeah.
Okay. When did music come into your life? Or was there a moment when you realized, oh, I know I want to be a singer. I know I want to write songs?
It's funny because I think I've been singing since I was 5, 6. And I started taking lessons when I was 9. But before that, I was singing for school and stuff in church. And my parents were missionaries. And so I grew up singing in church. So I always like to say that my training was to sing every weekend, at least twice a day, twice every week, because it was church, and it's something that you would do every week. And when I moved here in Canada, it was the only thing that felt familiar to me was going to church and being in the worship band. So I kept going to that. And then when it was time to go to university, I was really jealous about all my friends going to university and knowing what they want to do. And at this time, I was very involved in the worship ministry and stuff. And I was there 3-4 times a week, just singing while working in a fast food. And then I was I would be really sad if down the road I won't be able to do this as much as I can. So then I was maybe I'll try going to music school. And long story short, I end up getting in, which I still think I'm not qualified for it. But here we are.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But with music school, I could totally relate to a feeling of sort of feeling like an imposter in a way. You're kind of okay, how did I get here? And it's hard, right? You had to work really hard.
Yeah. It's funny because I know I was telling you the first time we met, I got a 30% on my theory exam. Yeah. And I was after that, I haven't done my performance and oral at that time. But after that, I was just there's no way they're going to let me. I was that's it. I have to think about my plan B, even though music was already my plan B because I didn't know what to do. Yeah. But I was that's it. I remember going home and I was they're not going to let me in. And what am I going to do with my life? But at that time, I was just so sad because I knew I won't be able to do music as much as I can, down the road, because I know I'd have to get a real job. And, you know how it's Yeah, I don't know.
But yeah, you went to school. And so obviously you know, regardless of like entrance exams, whatever, like it's clear that you definitely have something that's like really special with your voice.
I hope so.
Yeah. Yeah. I think, and like with songwriting too, like was that something that just kind of, you just started doing, or when did you kind of decide you wanted to write your own music?
I don't even know. I never like described myself as a songwriter. I still think I'm not very good at it. And I love writing with my friends and like telling them, like I have this like idea in my head of like what the song should sound like and what it would look like, and like the shape of it. But I love like words and stuff, but I'm not very good in like, I'm not very poetic. And I think that comes because I'm ESL. And I used to be very like awkward about it. And I used to pretend that I'm like, oh my gosh, like I'm so whitewashed, you know? Like I was like, I couldn't come to terms with the fact that I moved here like later in life. But then, yeah, I don't know. I just like, there was a time in my life where I was really depressed, and I like now I'm realizing it was a part of, because I have bipolar, and I was diagnosed like about 1.5 years ago, and I know now that I was going through that. And so I was just kind of writing to understand what I was feeling better. But at that time, it was just something that was super personal to me. And I kept coming to like the studio and stuff just to write. And I didn't really think about it that much until I was like, I would hate for other people to have this song. I think it should be my voice to be in it. Mm-hmm. So then I decided to make a record with the songs that I was writing.
Animals, I don't think they care who was before. Feel just like a criminal, but you then ask you what you're crying for. Yeah, matador, never understand what you're crying for. Step into a closing door, you go be the prey to this carnivore. Treat me like I'm different, but hate it when I'm not the same. Tell me how I fit in when you just need someone to blame. So how the hell do I win? I shouldn't have to say that it's okay, or don't feel so bad about it. And I know that you say you don't mean it. I shouldn't have to leave it that way. I don't get emotional, this shouldn't be typical. And I won't lie, I hate it every time that I lie. Wonder how you look at me behind the lies. Feels like I've been analyzed, bringing out your torches, then you act surprised. I hesitate, letting down my walls while they celebrate. And I'm wondering if I'll ever see any better days. Treat me like I'm different, but hate it when I'm not the same. Tell me how I fit in when you just need someone to blame. So how the hell do I bit defeated, but maybe there's a bigger plan. So when the hell do I win?
When did you make that first record?
So I actually started writing my first record back in 2018, right when I was having a gap year before music school. And yeah, it took me quite a bit because there was ups and downs, and like with being undiagnosed bipolar is like really hard because sometimes I would have like huge highs and like deep lows. And it's that's like something I think I'm either bipolar. I can't remember if I'm bipolar 1 or bipolar 2. But it's the one that I have depression that's really bad, but I only have hypomanics and hypomania, and I don't have like quite the blow up. I kind of lost my train of thought.
That's okay. That's no problem.
Yeah.
Yeah, collaborating with other people though, like that's such an exchange of energy, right? Like, so, and you were saying like you like to write with other people because it kind of helps you like understand the ideas. Yeah. Which is great because I think there's a lot of writers who are kind of scared to collaborate with other people sometimes, right? Because it's so personal and it's kind of hard to give up any kind of control. But when you were saying how you don't think you're a very good songwriter or something like that, or maybe that's not necessarily that, but like you're a singer,
but
you're
not
a songwriter,
very much of a songwriter.
You're a performer. Like, do you find like one of those you identify with the most?
I think I am a performer more than an artist or like a songwriter, because I just love, I always like, there's been a few people that I like told about this like kind of analogy that they're like, you're weird. You know how like the Pokemons,
Yeah.
when you throw them like Pikachu, I pick you, or I choose you, and then you throw them like at something and then they like evolve or whatever. I feel like that because I'm actually very introverted and I like hanging out by myself. So when I'm performing, I feel like the best version of myself because I am a character at the end of the day. Like the person that's on stage is so much more different than the person like behind it, even though like obviously it's like my stories and stuff and my voice. But yeah, I just feel most comfortable when I'm performing.
Yeah, it's really interesting how we can feel these like different parts of ourselves and be like, oh no, this is the real me. That's not maybe the real me, but it's like, it's still part of who you are still, right? And so, yeah, that's such like a interesting thing about getting on stages. And like, I don't know about you, but like, for me, I always like to perform for complete strangers more than people I know.
Oh yeah.
Like, do you feel that too?
Yeah, I feel like that the most because I feel like these people that like have known me forever, like my parents or like my friends and my sibling, and they know who I am like outside of performing. So I get a kick out of like performing like a random crowd. Yeah, kind of like having the chance to introduce myself in a way that I won't be able to like one-on-one or like if I'm like a party or something.
Yeah, it's totally different, right?
I once was blind, but now I see. Gave you my all and you made me bleed. Bruises on my knees for you. I really believed in you, but you were never there for me. I once I cried to an open sky. Spin spent all my nights by an open light, but you never called. Tell me that you kid all crazy to think that you're my own. But look at me now, turning this empty house to a home. I don't need you to tell me I'm worthy of something. Found comfort on my own. Look at me now. Look at me now. I once believed all your promises. No hesitations, no common sense. I was stuck playing your games. Your booze made me feel insane, and so I ran. But look at me now, turning this empty house to a home. I don't need you to tell me I'm worthy of something. Found comfort on my own. Look at me now, I'm better on my own. Mistakes are systematic, breaking your hold on me. Run from your misery. I've answered all my prayers, no longer stay the same. Look at me now, look at me now, look at me now.
With your career now, would you say you feel like you're emerging as an artist? Is that kind of where you're at? Or how do you feel? Because you know how it's like, okay, you first start out and then you start to get more opportunities for performing and you record more music and like, and I know like we were kind of speaking earlier about, you know, there's things like social media and things like that. But yeah, right now, like what does it kind of feel like for you?
I mean, I'm in the process of writing my second record, and it's gonna be like a full-length album compared to like an EP. And it's tricky because, you know, there are people that I started with that are so much more ahead of me than where I am now. And it's like this crazy just like thought of, wait, like I'm supposed to be here now and I'm still here. Just kind of like the comparison of like, oh, they're like so much more ahead of me, but we started like at the same time. And like I am still an emerging artist, and they're like going to LA and stuff, and like doing this big things and like getting signed and all that. And there's like nothing wrong with being like an emerging artist. I feel like I will forever be an emerging artist because like
same.
as artists, like we're not gonna stay the same.
When you don't like reach like a certain point and then you're like, okay, there it is.
Yeah.
Right.
Like I was talking to my friends about it at a writing session yesterday. You would like wherever you are in your career, you just would always want more. And like we see it like with like big artists like Kanye, Taylor Swift, and like everyone at the top, like after they like get all the Grammys and stuff, they're always like shooting for more, but there's like nothing to shoot for. So yeah, I guess like I'll always be like an emerging artist. And I carry that with pride because as humans, it's more evident for us artists because we put ourselves out there, you know?
It's like, it takes a lot of like, at least for me, like, you know, really like going inward and like keeping perspective about it. I think like, I don't know if that makes sense, but like, Because, yeah, you have these perceptions of maybe like people are at different stages in their careers, but just trusting, like, the hardest thing, I guess, is trusting your own timing, right? That's something I know, like, I've been trying to be more aware of as well. It's just like, oh, yeah, everyone's on their own journey, and I'm not going to be on theirs or theirs or theirs. I'm on this one.
And sometimes, like, it's hard to also accept your own timing.
Yeah.
Especially when what we were talking about, like social media, and like although you are cheering for everyone, you also can't help but feel that they're your competition, but they're not, you know?
They're not, yeah.
Yeah. They're like people that you need to support, because like we're all in the same community and we're all like wanting the same thing. And I believe that we can like do so much with like doing together. Like I like work with my closest friends and we have a blast, and that's like what's really so special about like making records and stuff and playing like on tours and like little cafes and stuff.
Yeah, totally. It's always about the people, right? And the people that you're surrounded by. And that can kind of like help you feel anchored in your own journey.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Because we definitely can't do it on our own.
No.
It's like, I think a lot of times people see like this artist, and especially like, you know, social media, it's like, oh, it's all about you, which is great and awesome. But they don't realize like, oh, there's actually like a bunch of other people.
Yeah.
Helping this happen.
And like, like the community we have here in Edmonton, I know me and my peers are like starting to talk about like, I feel like in the next couple of years, we are going to be more like the music scene in Toronto. Maybe that's like shooting for the stars, but I do believe that we have a strong arts community and like a strong support system from the organizations and stuff, but also most importantly, like with our community. Like I feel very honored that like you're having me as a guest, you know? And it's crazy because like you saw me through Rockin' for Dollars, right? And it's such like a staple as like an Edmonton band or like Edmonton artist. It's just like always like surround yourself with people, whether that's like people that you think will, I don't know what I'm trying to say.
That's okay, but like I think like maybe like people who can kind of like, you know, help lift you up in a way, really, right? Yeah, and like you were saying too, like I think there are a lot of, especially like young artists like coming up right now in Edmonton who are like really talented like yourself, and it's like
thank you.
It's really exciting to see that, I think. And just like I know a lot of you came out of MacEwan and some don't, but like I've just been really just loving like kind of, well, I'm not discovering people, but like for me it's like, oh, new to me, and then I'm like, oh, this is super exciting to see this. So with your career, I would say, well, my perception is that you have some big dreams, right? And so I guess what is your vision? Do you have kind of a vision of like, oh, I want to be there, or like here's a big goal, and like you know, it could feel impossible, but really anything is possible, right?
Yeah, it's funny because I was taught, like, compared to me and my partner Mark, sometimes I'm like, yeah, it's cool if I just like teach forever or whatever, and like be a music teacher and like just like stay in Edmonton. But I feel like for me, the biggest thing now, instead of like getting signed to like a major label or whatever, I would just love to tour and sing every night. And that was really like the reason why I started and wanted to be an artist, is I just want to be able to perform and sing. And I think with the way I'm discovering myself as a person and myself as an artist, I think that with the stuff that I've gone through in my life, like moving across the world and having been separated with my mom for 7 years, because like it's a hard life in the Philippines, and she wanted like more for me and my family. And those stuff like, I used to deny so much of those, but now I'm realizing that my story is not unique to me. It's like hundreds and thousands of people. And there's really like no one I know that is like a mainstream artist that has the same background or like that I can look up to. So I would love to be like a person who, if I was like a 12-year-old girl, that I would be able to say, oh, I look like her. I can do what she's doing. Yeah, I would love to tour. I would love to be able to tell my stories and stories of people around me, stories of people that are important to me and stuff that matters, more than like singing songs about love and stuff, although there's nothing wrong with that. But I think also as women in music, there is this unspoken expectation of us to just be always feminine, always sexy, always like attractive, and just talk about love and being flirty and stuff. And we have something to say, you know? And I think as a person of color and a child of an immigrant, I take pride in that now. Like, I didn't used to do that, but I'm realizing now that these stories are so important and that they need to be told.
That's super powerful. And like, I really appreciate your passion too. 'Cause I think that's like, being passionate is kind of the fuel that keeps us going. Yeah. So I'm really excited to see, well, I'm excited to hear your new album when it's ready to.
If it's ever going to be done.
It will be. I know. But yeah, thank you so much for sitting down with me.
Thanks for having me.
Where can people stay in touch with you?
Yeah, you can follow me on Instagram at HAIDEE, so HAIDXE. And I'm on Spotify, Apple Music, all the streaming platforms and stuff, at HAIDE, Heidi. And yeah.
Cool. Well,
Thanks
thank you
for
so
having
much.
me.
Oh, you're welcome.